What is up, Cornhole fans? Welcome to another episode of Around the ACL. Trey Ryder subbing in for Mish alongside Wally K9 Castler and Anthony the Professor Ione. As I was going through that in my head of how I was going to intro the show, I realized I'm like the only one of the group that has no cool nickname. So I'm just a little upset, but it is what it is.
You're one of those people in cornhole that doesn't need a nickname. You're like
okay.
Cher,
That's that.
like you're a legend, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I tell myself, at least make myself feel a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, yeah, another great episode. Getting ready for our big signature event this weekend, going out in Ione's territory, all the way out in Colorado. We're gonna have a fun weekend today. We're gonna preview our singles, our doubles, women's, junior, seniors, play a little buy or sell action before we have another great long weekend of cornhole. And apparently, I'm speculating here, the best hibachi in the history of the world. Maybe Wally can fill us in on what is coming for this weekend. This was specifically requested from Mr. Castler going into the event call last week. So, Wally, you got to fill me in here.
Yeah, so we're all nervous about it. Jake, Brandon, myself, and Michael Gonzalez, we usually do like hibachi on Sunday night, and I can't remember if it was actually Sunday night that we went or like one of the long 13, 14-hour days, but we couldn't find anywhere to eat. We found a hibachi restaurant that was open in like around Windsor area, and we're like, all right, let's try it. We got nothing else to do. Let's go there. Let's eat. We sat down. Like, it was a nice little ambiance, whatever. The guy came out. He's cracking jokes right away, and there's already like 4 or 5 people sitting there, so expectations going in were kind of low. We were just starving. And then, he puts on a good show. He does all the tricks, the volcano. He does the butterfly. He does all the cool things that you need for a hibachi restaurant to do. And Jake, Brandon, and myself, we keep track, okay? If you don't do the volcano, -1 point. If you don't throw shrimp, -1 point. You know what I mean? We keep track of all this stuff. So, they gave us extra noodles. So we're like, oh, noodles is a plus. That's a +1. We like getting noodles. And then, like, everything was cooked to perfection, and you could tell something was up because Michael, Jake, and myself were just sitting there eating. No one was saying a single word. And then finally I broke the silence. I was like, is it just me or is this, like, really, really good? And then Jake is like, this might be the best I've ever had. So we're all sitting there. We're like, yeah, it's really, really good. We're eating hibachi, and we're all like, this is the best hibachi we've ever had in Colorado of all places. Not expected at all. So we've been talking about it for almost a year and a half now, it seems like, and we're looking forward to going back. I think it's only like a 15-20 minute drive from the hotel we're staying at, so we're kind of nervous to go back because if it's not as good as we remember, then we're just hungry, long day, we're tired or whatever. But then again, like, if this is the best hibachi, then our mission's complete. We're blessed to bring other people into our hibachi world. But for those of you that don't know, Hibachi Sundays is a huge deal for us live stream folk. And after a long weekend, it's a reward for ourselves. So hopefully we get the repeat of the best performance ever.
Mark it down, the first ever 3-minute side conversation on hibachi in the history around the ACL.
You tell where our passions lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like cornhole, there's going to be a cornhole tournament out there somewhere. But like Michael, Jake, and myself, we have a side chat talking about, are you guys ready for this?
Anthony, I shouldn't even ask because the answer has to be no, that you've never been to this one specific place, and you're probably like, what is this random hibachi place that we were talking about here, even though it's your neck of the woods?
Dude, what's crazy, and actually this is about maybe an hour and a half on a good day, 2 hours north of where most everybody lives in Colorado. I mean, it's way up at the top. But we actually did go to hibachi while we were out there last time in Windsor. That was a coincidence. And yeah, it was really good. I'm just excited to kind of reset everyone's thoughts on what Windsor and what Colorado was like. Because the last time we were there, if you needed help getting out of your car, just hold on to your door. Because as soon as you opened it, the wind was just pulling the whole door open. It's not normally like that. So I'm a little excited, getting into May, it's starting to get a little warmer. Hopefully we get some nicer weather and people get to experience, this spring season of Colorado because it's a good feel.
Whoa, do I need to bring a jacket?
So right now, I mean, we're gonna hit 70s today. So it just depends. Now Colorado's known to like switch on a dime, but I'm hoping everybody gets at least no wind and some decent temperatures.
Yeah, I remember last year we were in the dome and all the lights were just swaying back and forth. Like it was almost trippy and chaotic because everything that seemed to go wrong happened. Remember, that was the Matt Guy versus Jamie Graham bag pop. So it was just one of these weird things where everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong, and then it was still just an awesome weekend. I think our live stream court was really, really cool, but yeah, Colorado left a bad taste in my mouth that last time there because of the wind. I lost my hat. Step out the door, flying.
She gone.
Oh, well, hopefully we won't have as dramatic winds going into Colorado. But as we said, third signature event. Man, this season is flying by already. Third signature event of the year. We're going to start talking through our preview of the big major events. We're going to start on the pro singles side. And as we look through the rankings, if you haven't seen them on the website, a new top 10. We'll go through them right now. New number 1 player in the world after sweeping the first event, and that belongs to Jamie Graham. Just 4 points behind Graham is Tony Smith, just to give people some indication. The difference between first and second within a bracket is 3 points. And so having a 4-point lead is essentially nothing between Jamie Graham and Tony Smith. This will be a battle throughout the entire year. And as we look towards the rest of the signatures, you're counting your 4 best signature events. So again, you're starting to think through how these points accumulate. You're going to see constant motion until at least we get through Fort Worth and head into Utica for signature number 5 before we kind of see where people are at least going to be generally ballpark in the rankings. After Tony Smith, number 3, Zach Aiken, a junior pro. Number 4, Matt Guy. Number 5, Sammy Soto. All the way down to 6 from number 1 after the first signature, Gabriel Clausen, also a junior pro. Trey Birchfield sitting at number 7. I think a sneaky quiet number 7 for Trey Birchfield. Mark Richards, number 8. That's a big bounce back for him of having not a great first signature, sitting there at number 8. Eric Davis, another sneaky number 9. Haven't seen him on TV yet, but really just hovering around that top 10 category. And then Jay Rubin and Austin Waskow also tied with Eric Davis at number 9. So maybe Waskow probably the biggest shocker of that top 10. If I look at what we were thinking at the beginning of the year, if you throw in Clausen as a big surprise as well. But that starts our pro singles top 10. Wally, as we look forward to Colorado, who has your eyes here?
The eyes for me is always going to stay on the juniors this season. It's 7 out of the top 25 junior players, or 7 of the top 25 players are juniors. Leading the way is Zach Aiken, who's been one of the hottest players on the planet over the last, I would say, 4 or 5 months. We look back to last year, and Ryan Trader was the kid who came out of the gate on fire, and then he was pretty much there the entire season until Worlds. Zach Aiken is kind of mimicking that path with strong finishes, either in the top, I'd say top 4. So every time we come out of a bracket, you expect to see Zach Aiken in the finals. Sammy Soto and Gabriel Clausen, the other 2 juniors there in the top 10. But you were talking about a quiet season for Trey Birchfield. I would say a quiet season for Austin Waskow. He's been one of the most consistent role players in the game right now. Anthony loves the roll bag, so he can kind of break it down a little bit better than I can. But every time that there's a situation to roll, doesn't matter if there's 1 bag or 2 bags stacked on top of a pile, Austin is hitting that shot with confidence, and that's something I love to see. Some other players that are outside the top 10 that have my eye, Gavin Cano, Jackson Gordon, Ethan Walker. These are players that I expect to, have deep runs in the bracket and would not be shocked if they come out and make a TV appearance, here at signature number 3 coming into Colorado. Colby Shear, obviously coming off of a hot finish at the signature number 2. I expect him to continue to do things. He's doing it for Jake Brandon. Not anymore. He's doing it for himself now. Doesn't care about what Jake Brandon says. So Colby Shear, he's earned his Mountain Dew. I'll bring him a 2-liter next time I see him. He's on fire. And then you got your usual suspects that we keep talking about. Where's Devin Harbaugh at? Where's Jeremiah Ellis at? The players that are kind of sneaking up for me are players like AJ Sims, who's starting to show that he is bringing back that OG flair with the airmails out of nowhere. But he's also consistently putting up high PPRs now. I went through the PPRs, and I'll get it pulled up here in just a second. But there were 4 players in the A bracket that had a PPR over 10. And then in the B bracket, there were, it looks like, I lost it. Either way, basically the C bracket we knew was going to be the hardest one going in. And C bracket only had 2 players over a 10 PPR. So that tells me either one of 2 things. One, Arizona wasn't as fast as we thought it was going to be. and players were playing a dirtier style of game. Or two, maybe we're just overestimating some of these big names that we've seen in the past. I know that Anthony last year had players, in the top 10 that, we're used to seeing over these last 3 or 4 years. But in the singles division now, I think things are getting shook up quite a bit. And we got to start looking out for some of these rookies or sophomore players that are starting to figure things out. Players like Tommy Sliker, or even Justin Rule sneaking in there with a 9.72 in C bracket. I expect these high PPR guys to be players that we're not used to seeing finish deep in brackets, but they can make good runs. Quinn Reeves, who else did I have? I forgot the other person that I had written down, but yeah, some of these mid-tier players that we wouldn't expect big finishes out of, I think that they're going to start making some noise and they're going to start shaking things up. But Mark Richards, a player that we're always going to keep our eye on, again, a good bounce back for him. I expect him to start making some noise. He looked a little bit better here at signature number 2 than he did in signature number 1.
You made a good point there, Wally, about conditions. Anthony, I know you did some humidity measurements in Fort Lauderdale. Did you have a chance to do any of those inside the building in Mesa?
I actually forgot I'm going to call it the humidimeter because I think that's just a cooler name, but I forgot the humidimeter. But I'm glad you brought that up because right before the show, I did a quick humidity check in Windsor, and just to show you how drastic some of our locations are. Right now in Windsor today, and this is what you expect to see in Colorado this time of year, 29% humidity. So then I was like, we did Fort Lauderdale, signature number 1. Well, what's the humidity? 91% today in Fort Lauderdale. So we would expect super fast conditions. Now, we know when we get indoors, it really depends on how that venue is treating the environmental conditions. In Colorado, most of us have humidifiers in our houses because it's so dry. So if we get into a facility where they're actually adding humidity to counter just the dryness, we could see different conditions. But I think a place like this, as large as it is, we're probably going to see similar indoor conditions as to what we're seeing outdoor. So everybody showing up to this SIG, expect the boards to be quick.
Yeah, sorry. Caleb Mendinka was the other one. Sorry about that. He had a great showing.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, that leads into it, Anthony. Who you got your eyes on here as we look forward to signature number 3 in your backyard?
Yes, sir. I love Wally's call on AJ Sims. I got to call a few of his matches. The dude looks really good right now. You would think AJ Sims's airmail couldn't get any better. It's better. His airmail is one of the best in the league. The guy's running the bags at a high rate. He's real similar to a Jay Rubin, I think, in my opinion, where he's going to be really cranking up the PPR with an airmail to match. But if he needs to get into condition where he can lay a back block, push through something in traffic, he has that ability as well. And good call on Colby Shear and Medenka as well. Really getting it done on the back of their elite level. I'm going to call up their lift bag because they're doing it so well. They're not necessarily rolling edge over edge. They're just kind of, lifting that left side of the bag and working their way over blockers. So consistent. I mean, we're seeing them, in a round throw 3 lift bags in a row, or 4 lift bags in a row. So it's not like, oh, my roll is a good 20, 30%. These guys are hitting it at a consistent rate. You mentioned Jeremiah Ellis. For anybody out there who doesn't believe this guy is still an elite level player in this game. A big jump for him. We expected it to happen at some point, going from 70th to 38th. I think that's just the beginning of Jeremiah Ellis's rise back to the top. I got a good, obviously good look at him calling some of the matches at the last one, and he still got it all. Trey, when you said his stats compared right now to last year are the same, he was throwing all of his good stuff. Some 11-plus games out of Jeremiah Ellis, and doing it, his mental game is so on point. We were at a blind draw the night before the tournament. A shout out to Ty Lopez, who, kind of helped put it together. But we were at this amazing, I won't even call it a house. It was a property, but just a beautiful property. And Ellis is finishing up the night. We were hanging out, just more of a fun blind draw experience, getting ready for the next day. Puts his bags on the trunk of a car and then drives away with them. 2 miles down the road, the bags fall out. And most people would crumble. I mean, you're talking about players about to go into a singles bracket the very next morning without their go-to set. And Ellis's attitude is, the universe didn't want me to throw those bags today. And he still went on that run in singles, with his backup set. So I really like where Ellis is physically and mentally in his game. I expect him to come out to Colorado, signature number 3, and do the same stuff. Maybe it's time for him to really break through to that Final Four. Guys, it's absolutely insane to me to see Jacob Trzynski sitting at number 49. That just makes absolute no sense, right? Obviously, signature number 1 was a problem for him with the fast boards. He was very vocal coming off of our court. It really messed with him. You could see it in the stats. He threw a low 9 throughout the tournament and a -4.5, and then comes back here, and we saw what he did in doubles, throwing an 11 through the tournament. Yes, I understand doubles is a little bit different. He elects to go outside arm. He's going to stay on that outside arm through doubles, and he's going to be able to really crank up his DPR without moving to an inside arm. I don't care. This guy is going to come out to signature number 3. I think it's time for Jacob Trzynski to break through a bracket. It's really just circumstance. If we look at signature number 2, he loses to Jay Rubin throwing a 10.92, and then he loses to Austin Waskow throwing a 10.37. Gas on the tournament. Finished 16th in his bracket. It's kind of crazy to think you threw a 10.39 through a tournament and you take 16th in your bracket. To me, that's circumstantial. He's going to come out to signature number 3 and crush. Mentally, we see where he's at. Full confidence playing with a guy like Jamie Graham. Full confidence in singles. Every bit of Jacob Trzynski is cranking at a high rate. He's going to come out to signature number 3 and make a move. A little similar story for Gavin Cano. A huge fall for him. He went from 3rd to 12th as we move into signature number 3. The dude threw gas and took 9th. He outside of Jay Rubin. He had the best PPR DPR combo in his bracket. He was a 10.5 guy and took 9th. But it was unfortunate. He runs into Ellis in that one, who threw an 11.07 and 74% four-baggers, and he was still in the game, but ended up taking a loss there. Gavin Cano falling from 3rd to 12th means nothing. I expect him to jump right back into the top 10 coming out of Colorado. Jay Rubin texted me back in November. I think this one's kind of fun. So we're talking months ago, way before we started the pro season. He said, guaranteed, I have it in text, guaranteed I'm a top 10 guy in singles. All I need is consistency coming off this retirement. I will figure out how to throw and how to manipulate my bag to keep up with the new version of this game today. I just need to be consistent. Well, he's consistent. We saw what Jay Rubin did. He predicted it. You just mentioned him in the top 10. What's crazy is I kind of feel like Jay Rubin sitting, I think you said he was tied at 9th. One of those guys that could actually move up a little bit in the top 10 ranks. What we saw out of him was insane. Situationally, his ability to come from behind when he's down, maintain the lead when he's up. I think he does a really good job making decisions, and got to warm up with a little bit, kind of messing around before the tournament. He's not just a roll and airmail guy. He actually has a nice roll bag. Am I going to say it's as good as Sammy Soto or what we saw from Mendenka or Shearer? No, it's not. It's not even close. But he can hit that thing consistently. I threw a block on him in practice. He hit 3 roll bags over me in a row in the same round. So, but he uses it at the right time. Really similar to what Mark Richards is doing, using that at the right time, which isn't often because his push game is so good. His run bag is so good, which keeps open boards. And then he has that airmail with him too. But hey, watch Jay Rubin possibly move up the top 10 ranks in Colorado, which is actually kind of crazy. You mentioned Trey Birchfield showing consistency, signature over signature. We can say quietly, yeah, because we haven't seen him really break through a bracket right now. He improved his top 10 coming out of the signature number 2. He actually moved up. I think it was 1 ranked position going from 1 to 2. He's one of those guys, and I think this will be important in Colorado, who can adjust to all board conditions, bag choices, and opponent matchups. I don't think that matters to him. With that being said, I don't even need to see his bracket. We don't have the brackets today because registrations just closed or are closing today, I think. I don't need to see his bracket. I don't need to know the board conditions. I just know Trey Birchfield is going to come out and play consistently no matter what the circumstance is. Expect him to stay a top 10 guy, and maybe it's his time to come through a bracket as well. Interesting to see Jamie Graham at number 1, Tony Smith at number 2 right now in the rankings, just because of the way the bracket ended. it's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's almost like a little bit of a rivalry building how that's going. I'm really proud of Tony Smith. A shout out to this guy, who really put the flames out on social. He was like, hey, Jamie Graham was fighting for his position. I was fighting for mine just the same. The circumstance sucked, but he almost was like, hey, it is what it is. Let's move forward from here. I really like seeing that maturity out of Tony Smith. I think these guys are going to continue to fight for that 1-2 spot. They're going to be in different brackets with the way the rankings are laying out. Hopefully we get a Jamie Graham versus Tony Smith in a Final Four. I would absolutely love that just because of the way we came off of signature number 2. These guys are due for another head-to-head to run that through. I talked about this situational shooting. I don't think anyone in the game is better than Jamie Graham right now in situational play. We're talking about I just came off of a crazy ending to a game where we're now back into it. I need to make a comeback run down 20-15. I can get my mindset there back quickly and do it. Comeback performances, getting on a broadcast, making the right shots. He has every single shot. I think Jamie Graham, the best situational player in the game right now, and he stays on top coming out of Colorado.
I don't know, man. Didn't he just make it Facebook official a couple days ago?
What's that?
I'm just
girlfrienditis.
There's a curse.
Oh gosh, you're right, dude. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hey, you know what? Let's say that he's got experience with this, right? He's been here before. Let's say that.
Hey, I love to see it. I hope they continue because it was awesome to see. Every time that Mish and I turned around, we saw either Jamie or Tony hitting a crazy shot. Like you and Jake were over there high-fiving. You guys were having so much fun on court.
It was a blast, dude.
What I'll say, I got one fun stat before we move on to doubles, and it's just a question to both of you. How much money would you have lost against this bet that Adam Hissner, Derek Holland, Ryan Trader, Alex Rawls, Jeremiah Ellis, and Jacob Trzynski would all be ranked behind both guys at the end of the second signature?
My house, dude. Oh, I lost my house.
Matt Guy and insane. Brett Guy are both higher ranked than everybody on that list. That is absolutely insane.
Hey, they're earning it though. They're looking.
They are.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm kind of saying. Yeah. I don't think Brett Guy's going to win the whole thing, but like Brett Guy has done the bounce back that we wanted him to do. Right. I shouldn't even say we expected him to do. That's wrong. That's the wrong way to phrase it. He's doing what he needed to do that we just didn't think he had it in him, and he's bouncing back. So that's been a really good trend for Brett.
You know what? To your point, Trey, just a couple points on that note. This is where we're at, and Wally, you said it. The ranks have been shook up. It's actually kind of crazy because I'm looking at this. Logan Chamberlain, a top 10 player, sitting 23. Ryan Trader, a top 10 guy, sitting 25. Alex Rawls, back-to-back number 2s in the world, sitting 28. Holland at 32. Lopez, who was a top 12 guy, 41. Remember Roybal sitting at 9? He's 56.
We'll get to them in a second in doubles.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy how it's shaping out.
All right, let's go on to doubles. We'll talk through our top 10 rankings. A new number 1 as well, which seems kind of crazy to even think about just based on the path that Richards and Smith were on. To see someone pass them is a little bit shocking, but it does go to a team, a new number 1 that has a first and a second place finish at the first 2 signatures. It feels well earned, even though the big run of opens that Smith and Richards went on weren't able to capitalize. That's Jamie Graham and Jacob Trzynski sitting at number 1. Number 2, Mark Richards and Tony Smith. Number 3, Sammy Soto and Gavin Cano. I think all 3 of us actually would probably say that we kind of had them lined up to maybe make a run at Team of the Year. It's definitely not out of it at this case. It just got some ground to make up. If I look at the points, it's a pretty significant lead right now for Smith, Trzynski, and even Richards and Smith to get down to that third team. So right now, those 2 have built a big gap there. Justin Burton Jr. and Logan Chamberlain also tied for third with Soto and Cano. Jordan Power and Cheyenne Bubenheim at number 5. They're having a fantastic season. And really, I think Jordan Power may be having one of his best years ever if I can even say that. Number 6, a 3-way tie. We have Braden Wilson and AJ Sims. What a bounce back that they had. We were asking questions about them, I think 3 or 4 months ago. Philip Lopez and Steven Bernasette just continue to hang around, probably at the baffling of Anthony Ione on this call. Gabriel Clausen and Hayden Gonzalez also holding in strong at number 6, and then a 2-way tie for 9th between Matt and Brett Guy. There they are, sitting top 10 alongside Ethan Walker and Cody Henderson. Wally, interesting top 10 here. I would say, to me, probably more surprises than I anticipated at this point, but what are your thoughts on doubles?
Yeah, so I want to give credit to AJ and Braden. I called them out for calling me out, and they said they were a top 25 team, and I said, well, get in the top 25 then. And here they are all the way back up in the top 10. So, again, I admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong about Jordan and Cheyenne. They're having a fantastic season. I got a chance to see them in person in September, and I was like, well, that's actually better than I thought they'd be. And they are backing it up on the courts. You got teams that are getting ready to sneak in there, Devin and Jeremiah, Alex and Derek. But I do like what I'm seeing out of, Riker and Frank Verona. They're kind of a sleeper team right there on the bubble for getting in the top 10. JBJ and Logan, I just don't really feel like they are that high when I'm watching them play. But then here they are in the standings coming in at number 3, tied with Sammy and Gavin. But it's very impressive what Jamie and Jake Krasinski are doing on the court. Mark Richards and Tony Smith, we've seen it for like the last, I don't know, January, going all the way back to January. So the last 4 months, they've been dominant. But I do want to take this a little bit negative, and I apologize for putting a negative spin on it, but we give them props when they're doing great. We got to call them out when they're doing bad. So some of these PPRs that I find a little bit troubling coming out of signature number 2, Austin Kipple with a 7.5, Logan Dupler with an 8.33. Going from TV, falling all the way that low in the A bracket was a little troubling. Ryan Smith and Ryan Wiedenfeld were not at the first signature together. They show up here.
Don't call those ones out. Don't call those ones out.
I'm doing it. An 8.81 for Wiedenfeld and a 7.56 for Smith.
Yes.
That's kind of shocking to me. Corey Gilbert with an 8.03. Him and Dean Norton were the talk of the town last year. And then here we are going into signature number 3, and we're still waiting for them to show up. I believe Trey had a saying for Nico Morales last year. Prove it. Is that what it was, Trey? Prove it?
Yeah, prove it.
We're still needing Nico and Ryan Windsor. I thought they would be a lot better than what they are. And then Jacob Gore, Cash Chamness, and then Alex Hicks, all young players that I expected to do a lot better. Alex Hicks switching up his partner, going with Zach Engelken. Zach Engelken had the highest PPR in the D bracket with a 10.44. So Alex picking up somebody like Zach Engelken this late in the season, he's got to step his game up to get back to relevance. And then, Anthony, kind of talked about it, man. Chris Roybal and Ryan Hart, I don't know what to do with them on my fantasy team. Like, I love the guys. I dap them up every single time that I see them. But, when are they going to make that splash that's going to make me want to believe in them again? As of right now, I'm just not seeing it. Derek Holland and Alex Rawls, I think they had a pretty good performance. They just, got beat. Sometimes that happens. But, yeah, I do want to kind of finish up on Matt Guy and Brett Guy because I do see room for improvement still in Matt Guy's game. It is kind of interesting because Anthony hates this style of play without the blockers. You got AJ Sims, Jay Rubin, and Matt Guy all starting to make a little bit of a comeback on the splash. They don't have cuts. They don't really push through the blocker that much. They immediately go to that airmail, but they're dominant with it. So is that type of play making a comeback? It's very interesting that you have Rubin who goes that route. He did break out a roll every now and then Ryan Trader on the other side who goes primarily roll or cut around shot when he needs to. I expect Rubin and Trader to kind of right the ship. I like what I'm seeing there. I saw something about Mason Trader needing surgery. So after the hot start from Cash Janis and Mason Trader, I'm not sure if that's something that'll come after season or if it's something he's battling now. But, from signature 1 to signature number 2, we got a lot of things shook up. And I look at the standings right now, and I expect the top to stay at the top. There's a few teams that I want to keep an eye on, teams like Shibby and Gage Landis, Quinn and Austin, and then where'd they go? Eddie Grindersleeve and Dylan Turpin. They're all in like the 20 to 25 range. So I expect them to have a good seed in signature number 3 in Colorado, and I want to see them make that push in the top 15 after signature 3.
It's amazing. It's a unique standings. There's some people that don't feel like they're in the right spot, but they've either earned it or earned it the bad way, I guess. Right. Anthony, eyes on doubles.
Yeah, I want to reflect on what we were talking about going into the last signature and how I think that translates to the next signature. I called 6 teams out in doubles saying, hey, these guys are going to be moving down the ranks. Obviously, when we came out of signature number 1, we didn't expect to see the rankings the way that they were. Slow boards, fast boards, doesn't matter. That's how the ranks were. And I said all these teams were going to be moving down. All of them did move down but one. And I want to give them some props. And that's Jordan Power and Cheyenne Bubenheim. I said, hey, you're not a top 10 team. You're going to be moving out of top 10. I had you get your headsets on, you're calling matches. You can't really hear much outside of the headset, but I heard enough from the court behind me when Jordan Power and Cheyenne Bubenheim had a big win. And I'm like 99% sure Jordan Power called me out and basically said something to me about that big win. Absolutely love that coming from Jordan Power. I mean, we're talking about these stuff, calling teams out to spark discussion, spark some motivation, and that's what it did for Jordan Power and Cheyenne Bubenheim. So they were 5th going into signature number 1. They held 5th with that third place bracket finish, but they did beat the teams they were supposed to beat. If you look at their bracket run, they beat a number 68, they beat a number 24, and they beat a number 37, and then lost to a number 6 and a number 11. So my challenge for them next is, do you have what it takes to beat a top 10 or top 15 team, or are you just going to continue to beat teams outside of the top 20? But definitely props for them on their performance. Everybody else falling. You mentioned Kipler and Dupler falling. We said Kipler was having his ceiling performance. That wouldn't continue. They fell from 8 to 14. I think we get into Colorado at signature number 3, and that trend continues to fall down. I think that a settling point for them is going to be 25 to 30 at best. So I would expect them to keep falling out a little bit. Clausen and Gonzalez, I said, at first glance, I expect them to fall at signature number 2, but I was really impressed with what I was seeing out of Hayden Gonzalez, so I was unsure. Hey, they held their top 10 finish. They only fell 1 position going from 5th to 8th. At this point, I'm not quick to say they're a team that's outside of top 20. I kind of think that this is a team that's inside top 20 right now. Can they hold a top 10? I don't think so. But certainly, hey, being a top 20 is a huge compliment in this league with all of the talent. I think they actually are a top 20 team. Walker and Henderson were going to fall. They fell from 5th to 9th. Cripps and Humans, I said, we're going to fall. Another guy that called me out. I love it. As soon as I got to the building, Jimmy Humans was like, bro, what's up? We're going to be a top 10 team. We're going to be doing this. They fell from 9 to 19, taking 13th in their bracket. Really looks a little bit more on Ian Cripps. He's just not throwing what he needs to. I think Cripps needs to be the PPR guy in that case. We know Jimmy's always going to settle around a mid 9.5 with like a 0.3 DPR, which is always good enough to be like 4th through 7th. I think it's really going to be Cripps that needs to crank up to be that 10-5 guy in that partnership. And then Thorne and Thorson falling from 9 to 17. I think that's kind of where they settle. I think they're a 17 to 22 team. Now, Thorson graduating, I did see a post from him. He's graduated from college. He said, now let's throw bags or something like that. So, hey, let's see if that new focus, everything into cornhole right now, if Thorne and Thorson can make the run that they expect to make at signature number 3. I said all these teams were going to move up coming out of the last signature. They all did, except for one, and that was Reeves and Waskow. I really thought that these guys could be a top 10 team. I called them out as a top 10. I still think they can. We're seeing Austin Waskow throwing amazing stuff right now. Trey, you just listed off the top 10s. He was in there. Weird performance at signature 2. They both threw in the 8s. Really weird. I don't know what was going on there, but I still think that these guys have the capability. Let's look for them to move up from 21, moving their way back to a top 10 team at the next signature. Hissner and Birchfield not making much of a move. They were sitting at 26, only moved up to 23. Obviously, we all expect them to come out of a bracket. They finished 8th at the last bracket, neither throwing their good stuff, all mid stats, but they did finish 17th last year and ended up world champs. So we know at any moment they could come out and win the whole thing. Rawls and Kingsbury made the run we expected them to. Bracket final. They moved up significantly in the ranks. I said Eddie Grindersleeve and Turpin are going to move up. We know that these guys have the capability. Maybe some of the newer people in the game wouldn't even recognize them or expect them to make a move, but we know these guys have the capability to be one of the best, a top 10 doubles team. I think in a better position right now with the partners they have. They took fourth in their bracket. Turpin absolutely cooked up in doubles. I expect him to keep cooking up. Eddie Grindersleeve to match them. I can see them in a bracket final out there in Colorado. Rule and Halbert making a move. Finley and Streaker moving up a little bit. I think they have more to go. The Gore boys is still weird to me. I still see them way inside 50. They did move up, not much. 14th in their bracket to me is they're not going to be happy with that. They're going to come out 14th in their bracket going, we're way better than that. Why are we finishing 14th in the bracket? Really impressed with what I saw at a Guy Nation. I got to call a couple of their matches. Mac Guy's step-out game is much improved. He's really using the box a lot. He's choosing that get-around, kind of slipping in at the 3 o'clock or the 9 o'clock a lot more. That is working for him versus going over the top. His situational awareness is way more. We were seeing back blocks. There was at one point in the match where in a round, he skipped all the airmails with back blocks, pushing throughs, and step backs. And I'm going crazy on the mic because I'm so impressed with what I'm seeing from Guy. And he made it a point to point at me and was like, you see my game? It's kind of one of those things was like, you saw that, So it's obvious it's in his mind that he needs to tweak things a little bit. We fully expect him to go to the airmail more than anybody else in the game, but he's tweaking his game and it's showing. And Brett Guy, kind of the Brett Guy that we used to know, the top 5 rookie that came in, the mental thing, the focus on the mental thing. I can see it playing out. Really impressed with those guys. I wanted to finish this one off real quick because I want to look to Wally. You're the one analyzing this one. Really interested in what you have to say. We keep saying we've got all these quiet or sneaky teams in the top 10. If we look at doubles, I'm going to list off 6 names because I think there's 6 teams in here that are in the top 10 that are very questionable if they can even win a signature, especially in the classic format. If you're in the top 10, you should be able to win a signature. Wally, do you think any of these teams have the capability of actually winning a signature? And let's go with classic format only. We know that's going to be the main format moving forward. We have one more shootout format. Can Ethan Walker and Cody Henderson, a top 10 team, win a classic format signature?
I don't think so.
Can Matt Guy and Brett Guy, a top 10 team, win a classic format signature?
This one I think they can. The way that they're playing right now.
Okay.
The role for Brett is a deciding thing. And then it's almost weird with Matt Guy. I want to touch base on this real quick and I'll get back to you. Is like Mish always says, take your mind out of it and let the body do the work. We need the reverse for Matt Guy. We need to let his body stop remembering that he can shoot these airmails and put the mind in it to slow down and look at the situation. But yeah,
that's awesome.
I think they can.
Top 10 team, Clausen, Gonzalez. Can they win a signature?
I don't think so.
And we're moving up the ranks. We're getting even deeper. Lopez, Bernasette. Can they win a signature classic?
I would say no, but under the right conditions, maybe.
Under the right conditions. Wilson Sims, we saw them win a shootout, but can they win a classic signature in 25?
I hope I'm wrong. I'm going to say no on this one.
So one so far, the last one. Power Bubenheim. Can they actually take down a signature?
This one I'll say yes.
Okay, so that's interesting. Only 2 of the 6 doubles teams currently sitting in top 10 you think can actually win a signature.
Well, yeah, I mean, what else did we get? We got 2 doubles teams that we expected to be there and then 2 doubles teams out of nowhere. So I see that trend continuing more than I see the top guys staying there.
Okay.
Interesting. All right. Good stuff on doubles, gentlemen. Let's quickly, we got some women's and juniors and senior stuff. I'm going to go through just top 5 for women's singles and women's doubles and get your thoughts on those quickly. Women's singles, number 1, Elizabeth Tennyson, Also tied with Caitlin Allshouse. Both ladies tied at number 1. Number 3 is Cheyenne Bubenheim, kind of glaring to see. And then tied for 4, Sam Finley and Sarah Cassidy. As we go over into women's doubles, number 1, Finley and Streaker. 2, Cassidy and Tennyson. 3, Bubenheim and Ramirez. 4, De La Cruz Gigante and Lee. And then 5, Duel and Coy. Thoughts, gentlemen, on women's standings?
Yeah, for me, it's Elizabeth Tennyson and Caitlin Allshouse stepping up their game this year. Elizabeth has always been, a pretty strong player, straight down the middle, airmail type player. But Caitlin has the whole game. She's playing a little bit more strategic. Her bag in the last year has gotten flatter and a lot more accurate. And now she's starting to have the confidence that she can finish out tournaments. So shout out to Caitlin there. Sarah Cassidy. So I want to clarify something too. I said Sarah Cassidy and Kaylee Hunter would win a pro signature title. I was talking about in the women's division, winning.
Okay.
Women's. Niche called me out on this, and I'm like, no, I expect Sarah and Kaylee to win a women's title, but now I still don't even know. I mean, if you got these new players like Elizabeth and Caitlin coming up in there, it's going to make it even harder for them.
Let's jump over and get a thought on seniors from Anthony. Senior singles, Damon Dennis, number 1, Pat Sem 2, Cup 3, Mathis 4, Schulten 5. On the senior doubles side, Maudlin and Dennis up to the top spot, Schrader and Lockwood 2, Cup and Schulten 3, Clayton and Kraft 4, Duffy and Phillips 5. Any thoughts on seniors, Anthony?
Yeah, I think Sem playing at the level we expected him to. We got a good look at him in the rookie showcase. He showed out, was really impressed with what he was seeing, sitting at number 2. The shockers for me, I would expect a guy like Jeff Reynolds sitting at 10. Obviously, Frank Model in a bit of a slump sitting at 16. I'm really surprised to see them sitting behind 5 names I don't even know who they are, So expect to see some type of a move from them. Frank Model and Damon Dennis sitting at number 1. That's kind of what we expect to see. It'd be interesting to dig a little deeper and see if Modelin's performing better in doubles or if Dennis is just carrying. Because what we're seeing from Modelin really in singles isn't great. And maybe a question for you guys, because I've heard rumors, I've never gotten it direct, but we do not see Matt Guy anywhere in here. I feel like Matt Guy is one of those, you will not catch me in seniors kind of thing. Is that kind of the case? Do you guys know?
I think it was a couple of years ago. He said, if I can't win a pro bracket, then I don't want to win a seniors bracket. I think
that was it.
Yeah. I think he just feels like seniors would be too much, and he wants to kind of keep his focus on the pro singles bracket.
Gotcha. Focus on those. Gotcha.
All right, we got to really go through. I want to kind of skip juniors, just talk about Gabriel Kloss and Tony Forbes are 1 and 2, kind of leading there with Soto and Trader number 1. Yeah, there's a lot going on there, but we got to get to our last segment here, which is buy or sell. Okay, gentlemen, buy or sell. We'll start with you, Wally. You can have Jacob Trzynski and Jamie Graham and Mark Richards and Tony Smith, or the field. Ooh. What do you take? Buy or sell? You'll take Trzynski and Graham and Richards and Smith versus the field.
I'm a gambling man. I'm going to take the field just because, like I said, we got 2 teams coming out of nowhere the last couple signatures and 2 teams that belong there. I'll take a bet on a 50% field any day.
Anthony?
I always take the field in these ones. This is a time where I'm not going to take the field. I mean, look at the doubles lineup. Look at the doubles lineup we just talked about. We had 5 of the top 10 that we said couldn't even win a signature. So I think these teams are so strong. I'm gonna buy this one. I'll take those 2 over the field. Buy it.
All right, Matt Guy, in a combination of singles and or doubles, has a fall off this weekend. Wally?
I haven't seen anything saying he's going to fall off. I like what he's doing. He's improving the mental game every single time I see him. So I got to tip my cap and give him the nod that he's actually going to improve instead of falling off.
Anthony?
I'm selling as well. Not only are we going to get quicker board conditions in Colorado, but watching Matt Guy go through the bracket at the last one, he went from throwing the stick side of his bag predominantly, flipping to the slick side of his bag predominantly. The fact that he's able to navigate in and outside of that, he's able to use that to adjust to the board conditions. So I think whatever he's going to see, he's going to be fine with. And I talked about how he's changed up his game. Everything about Matt Guy I love right now.
Gabriel Clausen bounces back for a top 10 finish in singles. Wally.
No, I'm going to say sell. It was very impressive what he did signature number 1. I think signature number 2 is a little bit more of a representative of Gabriel Clausen's game as a whole. I think he's very, very good, but I don't think he's going to bounce back.
Anthony.
This one's tough. This one's real tough. I think if I knew the board conditions were going to be slow, I'd buy it. But because we're in Colorado, I'm on the fence on this one. I think it comes down to the board conditions and what we see inside. I'm gonna buy this one. I really like what I'm seeing from Clausen. Yeah, the dude's good.
So that's a bracket final.
It's a bracket final. Yes.
Right. Oh no, I guess he could be third. Third would
somewhere,
be nice.
Yeah, he could be third somewhere else.
Okay. All right. You are concerned about Birchfield and Hissner, Wally.
I'm going to say, yeah. There was something last year that clicked. They were motivating each other, and whenever they were on the boards together, it's almost like they brought out the best in each other. This year, I'm seeing the exact opposite. I almost feel like I'm seeing a little bit of finger pointing and like disgust whenever the partners miss. Adam did not look good on our court, and it looked like it bothered Trey for some reason. So whatever it is, I'm selling. I'm not sure why, but I'm just selling.
Anthony.
Yeah, I agree with Wally on that piece. Yeah. I agree with Wally on that piece. I'm not concerned with them coming out and winning a signature or world championship. We know that they don't need to be a top 10 rank to win a world. They could put it all together. Am I concerned with them finishing top 10? Yes. I'm not concerned with them coming out and winning an ACL title this season. I think they could do that.
All right, last one. Cheyenne Bubenheim goes 2 straight events. She didn't have one at the last event, so now she's going to go 2 straight events without a women's singles or women's doubles win. Wally.
If you didn't throw the women's doubles in there, I would have bought it. But I'm gonna. I think she'll get women's doubles. I have to double down on my Kaylee Hunter, Sarah Cassidy pick, but I think she'll get doubles.
Anthony.
Easier buy sell last year, a little bit different this year. I'm going to sell. She's coming through.
I think she's going to get one. I mean, it's not like we don't have to go very far for her being dominant. Right. I mean, she beat the brakes off of All's House and Ann Tennyson kind of in that women's singles Final Four at the first signature. It just she hasn't been able to repeat. Wasn't able to repeat that the one event. So we'll see if she can bounce back here in Colorado. Okay, time for hot takes. Wally, let's hear it.
All right, everybody, get your DraftKings odds ready tonight. When the odds come out, or tomorrow, whenever it is, there will be no juniors in singles or doubles. So you have to be very accurate with your picks. Signature number 3, no juniors in singles or doubles.
Wow, okay. That's actually hot. That's really hot. All right, I'm gonna go with a sweep switches partners. I think the 49 seed Jacob Drzinski is going to come out, win his bracket, win singles, and then take down doubles alongside Jamie Graham, bringing home hardware in both singles and doubles. Stop playing.
Wow, that is I think it's a little hot even with how well he threw. I am going to go on the singles side. I think there's a question mark. 2 players right around the top 10 and one in the top 10 that we just haven't seen, which means they're playing really well, just not getting there. I'm predicting bracket wins for 2 guys in particular, as long as they're not in the same bracket. Eric Davis and Ethan Walker both win their brackets this weekend in singles to make the Final Four. So I'm feeling good on those guys. All right, team. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Hopefully did a good job filling in for Mish. And we are headed to Colorado this weekend. Make sure you tune in to theacl.com. You can check all the different schedules. Broadcasts will be live on ESPN+, Facebook, YouTube all weekend. For Wally, for Anthony, this has been Trey Ryder saying so long, and we'll see you in Colorado.